Sheikh Rami Al-Habib, Layla Al-Zahrani, Amal Farouk, Tariq Nassar, Faris Qabbani, Detective Dima Haddad, 6 names lighting up Dubai's priciest I Do, and when the music cut, clout flipped to cover, secrets got monetized, and a fairy tale got remixed into a crime scene. The wedding landed in Dubai like a blockbuster premiere, all heat shimmer and camera flashes, a flex so loud the skyline felt mic'd up, with supercars idling like chrome panthers and a glass-floor ballroom hovering over an infinity pool that spilled into the Gulf like it owned the horizon. Rami moved through it with practiced cool, every step measured, grin calibrated for the drones, the kind of groom who could sell a dream without breaking stride. While Layla drifted beside him in couture engineered to catch light and loyalty, the pair looking factory-sealed for legend. Amal orbited in a scent cloud and hashtags, curating angles, feeding the grid, stacking little moments like chips at a high-stakes table, eyes always on the numbers. Faris glided handshake to handshake, polishing the brand, whispering opportunities between toasts, all poker face and velvet menace, the business partner you keep close because distance is dangerous. Tariq stayed shadow quiet, ex-military posture, reading exits, watching the waitstaff like they were tripwires, clocking patterns the party people never notice, a firewall in a tux. The menu flexed caviar and Wagyu sliders, violins duetted with a DJ who spun nostalgia into neon, and every guest carried a phone like a witness. Somewhere below the champagne roar, little static ripples hinted at trouble. A velvet box slipped into the gift cascade, a glitch flickered across a hallway feed, and a florist, nobody recognized, signed a delivery log with a smile that didn't reach their eyes. The night felt bulletproof anyway, swagged in fireworks and synchronized fountains, a city-sized screensaver. None of them caught the echo that mattered. The vibe shift, tiny but vicious, that slides under the door when a story decides it wants a body. Photographers chased reflections on the glass floor, confetti stuck to heels, and the band leader counted down another flawless set, while fate sat in the coat room, bored and patient, flipping a coin nobody heard drop. Layla didn't pop out of a fairy tale. She clawed her way from Jeddah side streets where the AC rattled and the hustle never slept, building a clean-face boutique persona while moonlighting in a gray market jewelry loop that flipped lost pearls. Heat-treated rubies and stones with hallmarks mashed back on like they'd never left the vault. Small enough to dodge spotlights, slick enough to pay rent and fuel a glow-up. The crew ran pop-ups in hotel lobbies that smelled like polished marble, quick in, quick out, cash counted, invoices airbrushed to look legit. She kept her hands manicured and her trail messy on purpose, moving under an alias that sounded expensive, buying time until the risk started tasting metallic. One near bus taught her the only rule: vanish early. She hard reset ghosted numbers, torched the alias, crossed the causeway with a suitcase of neutrals and new stories, and rebuilt in Dubai like a pro, swapping shadows for studio lights, charities, smart friends, and calendar invites with embossed borders. By the time Rami came orbiting, she looked untouchable, the past folded like a receipt in a jacket you don't wear anymore. But old favors boomerang. A supplier she once bailed stiffed a bigger shark. A customs clerk she tipped got squeezed, and somewhere a bored accountant followed decimals that curved back to her former life. On wedding day, the universe sent a package riding shotgun with white orchids, a velvet box, a falcon pin colder than the AC, and a micro drive humming with curated files, wire maps, inventory pics, shell company trees, edited to frame her as the mastermind she never was. Amal clocked the aesthetic and snapped content without clocking the trap. Tariq logged the delivery because that's what pros do. Faris smiled like coincidence, already calculating how scandal could move markets. Layla held the box, felt the old gravity return, and understood the past hadn't stayed buried. It had been waiting, patient, dressed for the party. The fireworks had barely ghosted the sky when the couple ducked into the penthouse suite, a hush pocket cut from the party's roar, with a skyline view so sharp it felt like it could slice fingerprints. The espresso machine hissed, the ice bucket sweated, and the room smelled like tuberose and money. Rami's tux looked museum-grade as he cracked the velvet box, slid the micro drive into a sleek laptop, and watched a reel of receipts bloom. Shell companies, burner couriers, boutique pop-ups mapped like arteries, all tracing back to a name Layla had buried 6 lives ago. Screens don't care about vows. His pulse ran a red-line sprint as the footage stacked implications that could tank brands, spook investors, and clown him across timelines. Layla froze, the kind of stillness that happens when history kicks the door again. A prickly numbness crept up Rami's neck, like pins chewing through static. He shook it off and took another sip of espresso that tasted faintly bitter, then tried to stand and felt the floor tilt. Tariq's perimeter checks buzzed his phone at the same moment the suite's hallway camera glitched. Just 3 minutes of nothing that looked like eternity. Rami's body hit the marble with a sound that silenced private thoughts. Panic spread quiet at first, then wide. Amal killing notifications. Faris smoothing staff into lines, Layla pressing palms into air like she could slow time. Tariq calling it in with the kind of cadence that means disaster has arrived. Medics sprinted, monitors beeped, and the room turned into a cold equation. Heart, time, odds, 0. Sirens washed the balcony glass, while the party below kept dancing on schedule, clueless. The first leak pinged the web before the stretcher reached the elevator, and the fairy tale switched its genre. By midnight, headlines baked, alibis rehearsed, and the city's gossip engines revved, hungry for villains, heroes, and a tidy narrative to chew forever. Detective Dima rolled into the suite like a storm, eyes sweeping every shiny surface, vibing off the silence that follows rich people disasters. The espresso cup sat half-drained. The saucer, crusted with a sugar cube, welded in place like a bad omen, and the falcon pin, perched on a linen napkin too clean, sparkled dialed up like it knew it was part of the plot. She clocked the laptop, the micro drive, the file tree that looked curated instead of messy, a hits package for scandal rather than the usual digital chaos. Keycard log said Layla in, out, back in, timestamps stacked neat as showroom towels. Dima knew neat is suspicious. Hallway cams ran smooth, then burped 3 minutes of nothing right when the night went sideways. A loop so tidy it left a receipt. Lab Rush on Tox came back with a Conatine, Nature's Quiet Switchblade, a microdose cocktail that scrambles your heart's playlist without leaving a big mess. Espresso machine service logs showed manual override a half hour before collapse, like someone bullied the settings to run hot and fast. The room's scent diffuser, champagne gold and innocent, carried trace alkaloid too, a background haze designed to muddy the readout and stack exposure. Gloves meant no prints, but fibers told their truth. A filament snag from a florist ribbon, high-end satin, plus a few glitter flecks that belonged to confetti used only in the main ballroom, not the suite. Salt dust on the balcony rail didn't match the night's breeze. Lab said Marina grit, as if someone with boat air on their clothes leaned there and waited. Amal's phone metadata pinged near the vendor hall. Tariq's master credentials opened back-of-house doors. Faris ghosted through gaps with VIP impunity. And Layla's name sat front and center like a neon excuse. Dima felt the framing from a mile out, a narrative built for clicks, and started hunting the hands that wired the puppet. Public sentiment did a U-turn with screech marks, crowning Layla the villain before the coroner finished paperwork, and the hashtags wrote courtroom fanfic faster than lawyers could breathe. Tabloids ran glow-up to gotcha timelines, old photos yanked from dusty corners, while brand blogs ghosted sponsorships like they never returned calls. Amal, allergic to silence, posted archived selfies with captions that winked at secrets without naming names, harvesting sympathy and clicks, pretending she was just heartbroken and overwhelmed. Faris hit morning shows in a tailored grief, voice measured, eyes shiny on cue, framing Rami as a brother and Layla as a mystery he wished he'd understood, all while sprinkling corporate stability talk that kept investors from fleeing. Tariq stayed tactical, moving family, locking access, killing chatter in staff channels, the human firewall no one questioned. Dima ignored the noise and sliced the night into data. Espresso machine overrides at a time nobody should be fiddling. A scent diffuser whispering poison. A hallway camera that forgot its job for 3 suspicious minutes. The microdrive's metadata pointed to a prep room near the vendor corridor. Amal's phone cuddled that Wi-Fi. Tariq's master badge woke the door. Ferris glided through the same wing wrapped in VIP exceptions and alibis nobody pressed too hard. Each breadcrumb looked innocent alone. Together they spelled storyboard. The velvet box gave motive, the sugar cube delivered method, the looped feed gifted opportunity, and Layla's past glued the whole narrative like epoxy. Dima saw choreography, not chaos, a frame job written in fonts the internet already trusts. The easy suspect was trending. The hidden hand kept clapping from the dark, counting down to a payout only numbers understand. By sunrise, Crisis PR drafted absolutions. The wedding planner lawyered up, NDAs hit inboxes, and a shell company with marina ties pinged bank alerts in a rhythm that matched Ferris's calendar. Dima bookmarked the pattern, knowing killers prefer spreadsheets to smoke and mirrors. Amal cracked first. Not from guilt, but because the algorithm stopped loving her, and bank alerts started chirping like smoke alarms, exposing deposits from a marina shell consultancy with a fake receptionist and a real P.O. box. She admitted sliding the velvet box into the gift cascade for a quick bag, framed as a content activation, swearing she thought it was spicy PR, not lethal logistics, while the memo line on the wire read like a wink. Tariq's alibi wilted under building maintenance logs that time-stamped a staff-only pantry visit, a sugar tin swap, and a quiet stroll past the espresso machine's service panel right before someone bullied its settings. Debt records from a side bet habit put him in the kind of corner where order-taking feels like survival, and glove fibers from his preferred brand showed up on the pantry tongs even after a bleach bath. Dima traced the hallway glitch to a rehearsal 2 weeks earlier at a yacht charity mixer. Same 3-minute loop stitched by the same freelance AV tech hired through an events vendor that answered to a subsidiary kissing Ferris's balance sheet, which turned that coincidence into choreography. The microdrive metadata wasn't random either. It compiled on a laptop that joined venue Wi-Fi using vouchers issued to Ferris's assistant, then hopped through a VPN that screamed corporate. The nastiest pin came from board prep files recovered off an accountant's auto backup. Rami had scheduled a Monday vote to ice Ferris over cooked books and siphoned retainers, nuking his equity tranche and yanking access to a Keyman gravy train. The wedding gave Ferris a one-night window to solve several math problems at once, remove a partner, stabilize investor nerves by scapegoating a bride with headline-ready baggage, and weaponize public outrage to drown audit talk. Tariq handled the plumbing, Amal delivered the narrative starter kit, and a ghost hire misted the scent diffuser to stack exposure, all paid by a consultancy that only exists on spreadsheets. It wasn't passion. It was a spreadsheet murder optimized for optics, counting on everyone to chase the drama instead of the decimals. Arrests rolled out like thunderclaps, cuffs clicking behind doors while the city pretended brunch was sacred, and Dima moved evidence like chess, flipping Tariq with a plea that traded years for maps, wiring diagrams, and a blow-by-blow on the sugar swap and the 3-minute loop rehearsed off a charity yacht. Ferris tried to ghost through a private terminal, wearing calm like cologne, but burner phones, marina invoices, and a spreadsheet of retainers folded him. Prosecutors loved the motive math, investors loved cleanup narrative, and the board iced his access before lunch. Amal caught charges for obstruction and unlawful disclosure. No jumpsuit, but plenty of probation. Sponsors evaporating like mist. Follower counts shedding pixels. The clout machine learning that proximity to chaos burns. Layla walked out cleared, chain of custody airtight in her favor, but the internet's memory foam kept her imprint. She moved, sold the ring into causes Rami cared about, and let silence do what PR couldn't. The funeral played like a live stream, a symphony of eulogies and optics, while a trust restructure rerouted legacy money from Ferris's reach to programs with receipts. Lab work kept spitting gems, aconitine batch markers tied to a boutique wellness supplier that shipped to a boat shed rented by the same shell that paid Amal. The florist who signed that delivery popped up on camera carpooling with the freelance AV tech, a side quest that turned into a warrant. Dima filed it all, knowing the consultancy was a mask, not a face. The wire trails kissed bigger wallets, the kind that rent deniability by the hour, so she archived Ferris as a mid-boss, and kept her sneakers by the door. Final report read clean, but the subtext was messy. Rami didn't die over love or honor. He died because numbers needed space, and a bride's past made perfect cover. In a city built on sparkle, the easiest murder is the one the crowd already believes.